The bottom feeders, a postscriptum to the patient voice videos. I originally wrote this article in February 2025 when Elon Musk was fully in his Doge cuts, and I remember being very moved by the amount of people who lost their jobs as part of this, 250,000 at least. At the time, he was making throwaway comments about people in public sector jobs in the USA failing to use their brain cells or their neurons, and now that they don't have a job, they are free to use their brain cells again, or whatever the detail of it. His comments really stung me personally. And at that time, we as a company were also suffering, but for different reasons. There were big changes in the sector we were working in, and we were trying to weather our own storms. It was a very sad and stressful time, and the emotion in the article, now recorded in this video format, is raw and heavily influenced by what we were going through and the very human cost to the Doge cuts in the USA. It made me think that we are all, us mere mortals, bottom feeders. But there are advantages to that, and what follows is this article. In December 2024, I wrote the following paragraph as a postscriptum to the batch of patient voice articles that I wrote. So I quote, "There is a difference amongst companies in how seriously they take the patient voice agenda, but I wonder what commitment there would be if there were no longer any regulatory pressures in place. Here's a thought experiment. Let's suppose that Trump 2.0 makes cuts to FDA that indirectly causes an unraveling of a raft of regulations and best practice guidance in relation to the patient voice, particularly in the area of diversity. Let's suppose this undoing has an impact on the ability of FDA to assess submissions where capacity may disappear altogether. The result is that patient voice initiatives are no longer expected or properly regulated, no more RWE research required, no more cognitive debriefing or comprehension testing or REMS or anything to do with patient safety or health literacy. In this new reality, how many CROs and pharma companies do you think would still insist on patient voice research in drug development? How many sponsors would do it voluntarily? How many patient voice slogans decorate in their conference booths? You would count them on one hand." End quote. Was that prescient? No. Everybody must have seen that coming. The unravelling of binding and non-binding guidance to do with patient voice could well happen. It could happen unintentionally, or it could be a deliberate cut where the executioners fail to understand the basic premises of something like patient voice research and assume it has some other agenda. After all, in their zeal to do away with any guidance relating to gender-based pronouns, they also killed FDA guidance around the use of pronouns when communicating to patients. This was not a document motivated by identity politics. All it did was advise medical writers to communicate directly to patients using the pronoun you. This was instead of using constructions that avoid addressing the patient directly, such as the passive voice or third party. Patients must take care to avoid drinking when taking this medicine, where the patients are not directly addressed. There's nothing woke about this at all. It's very sensible advice aimed to empower the patient. Yet the scattergun, or was it scatter algorithm approach, has dragged this guidance up in the same net as what they perceive as the more controversial pronoun guidance. Maybe they are going to review all that they pulled, as they say they're going to do, and maybe they'll restore it when they realise it was not on their kill list. I hope so. But returning to the scenario of the unravelling of FDA guidance and cuts and chaos and bottlenecks of submissions, it could be that nothing is submitted or nothing is approved and nothing is done anymore in terms of any kind of patient engagement, and clinical studies are hobbled before they get going. In a free-for-all scenario of no rules or reduced rules, innovators may well seek a new home outside of the USA. Markets ultimately decide. But in amongst this is the ongoing human cost. I've written elsewhere about the course a typical small business takes. All businesses grow and they all contract. Those that are still around have just had that little more growth in relation to the contraction. Some of these companies might just be hanging on for dear life, presenting a brave public face because you have to. When a person sets up a business, it's fueled by hopes and dreams. Nobody says, right, I'll try this for a few years and if it fails, then I will do something else. It's quite the contrary. Any business represents the blood, sweat and tears of the founder and those around them. Behind every closed down restaurant and every shuttered up store is a broken heart, sometimes even a suicide. Every employee is a business of one. You are your own Inc. or Limited, and being laid off is exactly the same as a closure of a business. It's the same pain. 200,000 broken hearts right now, maybe more. You don't think about the empathy and support you receive from loved ones. You can't even look them in the eye. An arm around the shoulder or a sympathetic word smashes you into pieces, and it takes a while for you to get back up again. You focus instead on the shame, the stigma and the schadenfreude, and this is the real evil eye. There are some people who just do not want you to thrive. Over the years, I've worked with lots of people from competent authorities, people who assess your submissions, approve your medicines and vaccines, make sure your food and drinks are safe to consume, or public and global health specialists that we will really need in the next health emergency, and there will be one. All the talented people I've worked with, from FDA to MHRA, EMA, BFARM, etc., are hardworking, talented, precise and extremely bright. I can assure Mr. Elon Musk that they do have neurons and they do have pulses. In fact, the only time I suffer from FOMO is when I deal with them. I genuinely wish I was more like them, but it's not just their talent that I like about them. Think about it. Why are they drawn to the public sector in the first place? Because they're not motivated by money, because they sincerely love what they do, because they have ethics and integrity. This is not a value I see in spades in some of the dark corners that I've worked in commercially. It could be that the public sector's loss is the commercial sector's gain. There will be thousands of people with expertise in health services. There will be thousands of people with expertise in health services research and the patient voice agenda, the real agenda, and not the fake slogans I've been writing about in the many articles thus far. My advice to anybody laid off from FDA or CDC or a similar body is set yourself up as your own business. Use your commercial contacts. Show the rest of the commercial sector exactly how patient voice research with integrity is done, and you'll come back brighter. We, the bottom feeders, we, the purveyors of solutions that are low in prestige, we, the providers of services that others don't want to do or cannot do or nobody understands, we, the mopper-uppers, beholden to nobody, we are free. Thank you for listening. This was originally written by Mark Gibson in Leeds, United Kingdom, in February 2025.